All right. Hello again. Welcome to whatever day it is uh, in, uh, in your own life stream. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But good morning over here. It's February, and we're gonna go through some more Tails cards. Help everybody get to know everything they could possibly want to know about me. Mostly my kids, but there's also other people out there who have let me know that they appreciate uh, these episodes and the fact that I'm sharing so many details of my life. Uh, to which I say, I suppose you're welcome. Um, I don't know why you're interested, but some of you are. So let's continue my life story. We left off, I think, with who are my grandparents, something like that. What was the last one we did? Yeah, what were my grandparents like? This next one says, "What are some of your earliest memories?" It's funny. I have some memories that date back pretty far. I can remember crawling. I remember before I could walk, uh, crawling on the floor. Uh, I remember that there were hardwood floors, uh, but that there was a rug that had a kind of scratchy texture to it. Uh, you may not think too much about the texture of rugs in your everyday life, but when your face is always 2 inches from it, uh, then the quality of rug matters to you a lot more. Uh, I remember that I could pick my head up and look around for a while, and that got tiring. You stopped doing that. I remember being on the ground behind my father's desk chair, which was brown. It was made of wood, uh, and it was a curved back with slats. Uh, I think it had arms to it, uh, and it was uh, yeah, it was all wood. I think it had. I think that it had wheels on the bottom, and then just beyond that was Daddy's office, which was brown. There's not a lot of things you can describe from when you're an infant, but it was brown in color. Uh, I think he had a Japanese doll up there somewhere that I like to see. I would often uh, crawl behind my father's chair, too much for my mother's liking. My mother was she would get scared that I'd get rolled over by the chair. You see, uh, uh, so I remember I remember her yelling at whoever. My father did not move, and me did not crawl there anymore. I'd get swooped up and I'd get dropped in the playpen. The playpen it had metal cross pieces. It had like a corrugated it wasn't wood. It was like dense cardboard kind of flooring. It was a dark brown. And it had the mesh sides. The mesh sides were held together at the top by yellow, like padded yellow fake leather, kind of polyester or whatever, that went along the railing at the top. And you could hold on to that when you're trying to stand up. You could for sure get your mouth on it. But we were supposed to my brother Jay and I would frequently share these. We shared everything when we were little. We'll get to my siblings here at some point, I'm sure, but I know we shared that playpen more than once. And I kind of preferred it when I was in there by myself, to be honest with you. That's just the kind of who I was. I don't know why, but I think I liked having all the toys and not having to worry about any of my toys getting taken away from me. Let me see. I'm being told I'm just a little on the quiet side here, so bring this a little bit closer. See if that helps. So other memories from when I was a kid. Yeah, I remember you could look at the mesh of the playpen, but if you tried to, you could look beyond. You could look through the mesh to whatever was on the other side of it. Which could be mommy, could be a wall, could be nothing. Other baby memories. I remember when we call her Grandma Polly. She wasn't my grandmother. She was somebody's grandmother, my father's grandmother, Polly. She was staying in Charlottesville, and I remember when she died. Somehow, my brother Jay and I ended up with butterfly nets. We ran around outside chasing butterflies, which I suppose when you're, 3 or 4, however old I was, that's as good a way to keep the kids occupied as any. There are a lot of memories of Keswick. Most of my Keswick memories are from when I was older, visiting as a child rather than when I lived there as a baby. I'm trying to remember more from when I have my baby memories. For the most part, there was somebody around there named Kenny who either had a horse or was transporting a horse. Kenny was one of my aunt's boyfriends. Then there was another horse involved, big white horse by the name of Polo, which I was placed on top of Polo at one point. And it's possible that I was caught, but I remember falling off of Polo when he was just standing there. But I was a baby. You can't balance yourself on horses when you're a baby too much. There's no saddles or anything. Just remember my Aunt Laura was dated a guy named Gary. But she ended up marrying a guy named Larry. And my two cousins, James and Marie, Larry's their father. But I remember Gary as well. I don't remember too much about him. Yeah, I think he was into soccer a little though. Yeah, at any rate, that's probably enough of those memories. I have some more from Arrowhead Apartments where I lived from the time I was 1 until I was 4. But I've got a slew of those, so we'll get to those in another card. So let's move on to the next one. Get a cup of coffee here, a little sip. Oh, how are you doing? Good. Good. Okay. What did your parents do for work? Well, my father started out as a project manager, I think, with human science resources. I think it was called HSR. And then he went to work at a American Correctional Association, which, from what I remember, was a massive building. At least according to my tiny young eyes, it was a massive building. I think he was a project manager over there as well. When ACA lost its funding, I believe in 1980, when Ronald Reagan sort of made it a point to defund a whole bunch of sort of these programs that were set up to help criminals rehabilitate, get back on their feet. That wasn't really Reagan's big objective when it came to prisoners. But so at any rate, somehow my father was laid off from that job. That put him in a little bit of a tailspin. You know how it is. You get laid off. It's going to make you reconsider your self-worth and, what am I doing with my career? Especially the mid 70s, there's so much going on in the world. And to get told, we don't really need you. That's a rough blow. and Dad took it pretty hard. He ended up, keep this out of my face a little bit, but still somewhere where you can hear me at. Um, uh, I mentioned in an earlier episode, my father was very good with his hands when he was a kid. So he ended up being a general contractor, worked for himself for several decades, making enough money to keep himself uh, uh, out of serious financial trouble. Although uh, it was not easy um, to make money that way, but he did, and he did a good job of it, and he did it well, and so for I think the bulk of my father's career was spent working with tools, building things, and then when he finally reached an age when he can sort of stop doing that, he turned his attention toward writing. He always had writing on his mind, I think, but he was able to get published uh, uh, a little later, and that kind of helped him, I think, move away from this dependency of needing to constantly be looking for people that needed work done, So he wrote Sails on the Horizon, which is a fantastic book set in the Napoleonic naval battle era. He wrote that one, and he wrote any approaching enemy. As a sequel, and then there was a third book that. Sorry, Dad. I can't remember the name of the third one. I remember that I enjoyed it. They're good books. Dad's a good writer, and I'm glad that he was able to find that out and get validated. You get published by Random House. You've written something good. They don't just publish anything, those guys. So I encourage you to go check that out. I'll see if I can get a link to Dad's books, or links to Dad's books somewhere in the descriptions or whatever. After the books were published, Dad was able to get some work as kind of a sort of a historian. He would give tours of meeting houses, old meeting houses in downtown Philadelphia. That was I think probably a really good job for him. Somebody who's got that talent for writing must be good at giving tours of historical places. You have that knack for being able to bring somebody's mind into the past. Okay, just imagine that over here, all the men would sit on this side and the women would sit over there, and at 10:30, split for meeting or whatever it might be. But there's an awful lot of great history in the Quaker meeting houses of Philadelphia, and so Dad spent some time sharing that history with people. He is now retired, so he spends most of his time, as he should, just exchanging bad jokes with me. And we watch Formula One together, or not often together, but we every week we'll watch it and then talk about how it went. I'm enjoying that. I like my father. My mother, career-wise, uh, I think she wanted to be an educator of some sort or other. Uh, she ended up being a stay-at-home mother, 5 kids, uh, and she had work here and there. Uh, I wish that I was better able to recall the names of the places that she worked. Whitman Walker Clinic. Uh, I don't know if she worked or volunteered there, but she was at Whitman Walker. Uh, when a lot of people were afraid to work at places like Whitman Walker, had a lot of uh, had a lot of gay clientele at a time when the AIDS epidemic was starting, and uh, people don't remember very well now, but I think everybody remembers what we just went through with COVID, and there were some similarities between COVID and the AIDS epidemic. And one of those similarities was uh, there was a lot of panicking in the beginning and a lot of misinformation being spread about how you could get it, or what you should do. I don't think anybody told AIDS patients to take horse tranquilizers or whatever, but I remember in the early AIDS epidemic, there was concern about don't drink from public drinking fountains because somebody with AIDS could have touched it, or uh, you know don't shake hands with people who have AIDS or HIV, or uh, all of these things. Uh, it's a little it's pretty embarrassing. I think as a society, we look back on how that was handled. Even after we learned that AIDS could only be transmitted through bodily fluids. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm still here. I had a tendency to drop off from time to time. At any rate, Whitman Walker, my mother was there for a while. She was at she was teaching, I believe, at Johns Hopkins for a while. Again, possibly volunteering. It was very hard to know with mom uh, what she was doing. She was a very private person. Um, she ended up getting a degree that allowed her to become a counselor. Um, she became a pastoral counselor with I don't remember the name of it, but it was a Catholic organization. She also donated a lot of money to Hope. Hope being in Northern Virginia, it's a charity for young mothers to be, girls who are maybe unattached or come from less than ideal situations, environments. So that was she did that. I have to do one more because oh no, I thought that I had just picked up a card and saw that it was hilarious and thought that we should definitely do that one before we stop, but I dreamt that. So if we do look at the next card, we would discover that it would say, what were your siblings like when you were young? And I will get into that next time because I think first of all, I have a lot of siblings and they deserve um, they deserve to be have my memories of them treated with some amount of respect. And I think sharing my thoughts on my siblings while I'm falling asleep from drugs is probably not what they deserve. It's not what I want for them. So I'm gonna hold off. But uh, uh, yeah, we will get to it next time. So hope to be in the next couple days. That's it. Okay. All right. Listen, thanks for sticking with me through yet another one of these episodes. I hope that you're getting something out of it if you want to. Uh, and I will see you next time. And I apologize I didn't realize my throat was quite as hoarse as it turned out to be. Um, who knows? All right. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.